Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel Core for Tech Solutions. Today in this video we are going to cover a very interesting topic, which is like how to create full stack using Angular 18 version and Spring Boot 3 version. So the best thing in this, like we are going to create Angular 18 standalone application which will interact with the Spring Boot latest version, which is a 3.2, and through which we are going to connect with H2 database, and we are going to perform all the CRUD operations along with the search and sorting functionality. These are all prerequisites which we are going to use. Like for editor tool, we are going to use VS Code, and for backend development, we are going to use Spring Tool Suite. For front end side, we are going to use Angular 18.2.3, Node V 20.11.1, NPM 10.5.0, Bootstrap version we are going to use 5.3.3, and for backend we are going to use Java 17, Spring Boot 3.2.5, and this is the database which is H2 we are going to use, and there are Postman tool which we are going to use to test our REST API from the backend side. So this is about all the tooling which we are going to use. Now the best thing in that, like we are going to use all the latest versions, as you can see, and we are going to create this application using these versions. So you will surely it is useful for all the users which we are going to those who are going to use these versions and create application using this combination. So to create this application, we are going to follow some points in sequence. Like we will first see our user interface demo, in which I will showcase you how our application user interface will look like. Next thing, like we are going to create our backend application using Spring Boot. In that, we will create a Spring Boot application. We will configure the H2 database. We will implement the CRUD operations, and finally, we will test our CRUD APIs using Postman. Next thing, we are going to create our front-end Angular application using standalone option. Next, we are going to create an Angular front-end application. We will create a table using Bootstrap, and we are going to cover some functionalities like CRUD APIs. Alongside with that, we are also going to implement filter and sorting functionality on the table data. And finally, we will see all those functionalities working end to end using UI browser. So this is about all the points which we are going to cover. So I will request you all, please watch this video from start to end. And apart from this, like please visit to my channel, which is Code for Tech Solutions. Therein, like I have created various full stack applications using a combination of React and Spring Boot, as well as React plus Node.js. And nowadays I have started creating a full stack application using Angular combination. So I will create full stack application using Angular plus Spring Boot as well as Angular plus Node.js in coming days. So I will request you to please visit my channel and subscribe the same, and you can watch the kind of full stack video you would like most. So before we start, let me show you our user interface. This is the user interface which we are going to build. So here, this is the header part, and this is the navbar in which we have home link, and this is the add button, and this is the table data which will store the product related data. And these are the headers, like this is the product ID, this is the name, this is the type, brand, and these are the action buttons like edit and delete. And this is the search filter. So once you enter any text, accordingly the data will get filtered out, and this is applicable to all the columns. Enter 5. Yes. So this is about search filter. Next thing, like we are going to implement the sorting functionality as well. Like once you click on the table header, the data will get filtered out in ascending or descending order, like this one. We have this add button, so we can click on add button, and here it will allow us to add the entry for the particular product, like let's say it's an related to laptop, and the brand we can say it's a Dell. Once we submit this entry, we can see one entry is added successfully as the last record in table by clicking on edit. So this is about the addition of the product into the table. So if you want to edit any entry, we can simply click on edit button, and here we can edit the option, like let's say you can edit this using this entry, and we can see the product is updated successfully with the edit button. Similar way, if you want to delete any entry from the table, we can simply click on the delete button. It will show us the confirmation box OK. Once we click on OK button, the data will get the product row will get deleted from the H2 database table and from the screen as well. So this is about all the operations which we are going to perform. So I will request you to please watch this from start to end. So let us jump into the coding part now without any further ado. So let us first create our backend application. So let us switch the workspace to the folder, like this is our to other. Here we can give our, this is the parent folder which we are going to create, like it's a product hyphen app, inside which we can keep our uh, client application as well as a Spring Boot application, backend application. So we can create our Spring Boot project using this option, create new Spring Boot starter project. And here we can name our project, let's say it's a product related. We can name it as a product hyphen service. We can select the Maven as a build type, jar as a Java as a package, jar as a packaging, Java version 17, and here we can name this as an com.product. We can keep artifact as is. Here we can mention the description as an product service, and we can copy this group, and for package also we can keep the same. You can verify it once and click on next button. Here we need to add our dependency, what all packages or dependency we are going to use, like Spring Web. First we need Spring Data JPA, we need H2 dependency, H2 database, and we can add Lombac dependency as well. So we can click on next button and click on finish button. We can see this project folder is created. We can open the pom.xml file, and here inside dependencies we can cross check if all the dependencies added as expected. So this is the Spring Data JPA through which we can create a repository, and the repository will connect with the entity, and through which we can perform our CRUD operations. This is the Spring Starter Web, with which we can create a REST controller, and there are various other HTTP REST API methods we can create, and we can make use of different annotations, various annotations provided by this Spring Web. With this H2 dependency, we can connect with our H2 database. For this dependency is needed. So H2 database is it's an in-memory database, and this is the Lombac dependency. It will help us to reduce the boilerplate code, and it will allow it will help us to create getter setters using this lombac. Fine. So we can build our application using command maven install. Now we can see our build is success. Next thing, we can run it using command run as Spring Boot app. So we can see our application has started successfully on port 80830, which is the default port. Now let us start adding our database H2 configuration part. First we can, so we need to add these properties into application.properties file, or we can use the application.yaml file. So for now we are going to use properties file. Now let us change port. We can take it like 8083, and here is a Spring data source URL we need to mention, which is like JDBC H2 main, and here we can mention the database name. Let's say it's a product master. We can give username, it's a user, and here we need to provide password as well. So user 123. And we need to give driver class name, which is org.h2.driver. We need to add database platform, and here we can mention it's org.hibernate.dialect, and we need to provide H2 database specific dialect. And here we can add one more property like spring.jpa.showSQL. With this we can see the executed queries in console. Next thing, like we can add H2, we can enable the console so that we can see the user interface for H2 database through which we can connect and see our table data. So this is about all the properties we have configured to connect with the H2 database. Now let us do one thing. Let us create the packages first. We need entity package, we need repository package, service, and next we require controller package. Now let us add the respective component classes interfaces within these packages. So first we can create our product entity. We need to add the respective annotations for this. First is the entity, next is a get all constructor, no constructors @ data @ builder. That much is enough. We can add the import. We can add the fields which we are going to use. So these are the fields which we are going to use, like ID, name, type, and brand. We need to add ID annotation for this ID, and next we need to add generated value annotation, in which we can add a strategy, in which we can add generation type dot auto. We can select with this, like it will create an auto incremented ID. So whenever we insert a new product into database, it will create the ID by incrementing by 1. So this will happen every time we create a new product into the database. So this is about entity. We are done with. Now let us create our repository part. We can create the interface with name product repository. We need to add annotation, which is the repository, and here we can add extends. It's a CRUD repository. Here we can mention our product entity, and this is the data type of our ID, which is long. Can add imports, and with this we are done with our product repository. Let us create one interface for service with name product service, and inside this we can add what all methods we are going to use, like first get, we can say get all products. Next we are going to get a particular, we can say get by ID, and here we can pass long ID, which will return the product. Similar way we can add save product. It will take input product, which we are going to save into the H2 database. Next, so we can copy this, and here we can add one more method, update product. So this will update the product into the modified product into the database, and to update the product we require one more parameter input as an long ID. So this modified product will get updated against this ID. Next thing, like we can add one delete method, which will delete against this ID. For deleting the product we just need the ID, which is enough to delete. No need to pass the request body, and we can save it. So these are all methods we are going to use in service. Now this is about the interface. Let us create one implementer class, like product service impl. We can name it. We can write stereotype annotation service. This class implements our product service. So we need to add imports. Now here we need to provide the unimplemented method implementation. This is the default method implementation. Now let us add the actual implementation one by one. First we need to inject our repository into this. Now we need to call the respective method on this repository, like to get all products we can call find all on this repository. Here we need to cast it to the list of products. Similar way, to get the product for on basis of ID we can use find by ID, this method. Here we can pass the ID, and here this will return the optional. So in order to get the exact product, we can call get method on this. Next thing, like we can call save method on the repository. This is the save method. Now let us call update method. To update the product, first we need to get the product object from the database. So for that we can call the repository method, like this is the get by id method, we can call it here, which will return the product for the existing id from the database. And here we can check if product object is not equal to null, that means we have received the product object from the database for this id. Now we need to set the values to this object from this modified product. This is the get brand name, and we can call the set type, get type we can call. id we do not need to set, because id is not for modification, so we do not modify that. Now here, for saving this into the saving this modified object into the database, we can call save method, and we can save it. Seems good. Now in order to delete the object from the database, first we need to retrieve the object from the database and check if the object is exist into the database. Next thing, we can define some string which will hold the delete message. Now here we can call the delete method on this repository, and we can prepare one message like product is deleted successfully for product id, and here we can add this id and save it. This is about delete product, and here, okay, so deleting the product. So here we need to return this return type as a string, and what message we have prepared we need to return it. Fine. So this is about deleting the product from the database. So this is the service implementer method. Now let us create, first we need to save this. Now let us create our controller part, and here we can create our product controller. We can annotate it using race controller. Next thing, we need to auto-hire. This product service. Now we can call first get mapping, and here we can mention the path for get mapping, like we can follow some standard. It's API version v1, and here we can mention the actual endpoint, which is a products, and here the return type, it is going to return a list of product, and the method name should be like fetch all products. Now here we do not need to pass anything. Now we need to call method on this service for, like, we need to check what is the, this is the get all product method we need to call, and we need to add imports. That's it. Now here we can use response entity, and inside that we can wrap our return type, returning object, and here we can use same response entity dot ok, and here we can call this product service dot get all products, and we can save this. Now we can see we have created one gate mapping which will return all the products. Similar way, we can create one more gate mapping which will return a particular product based on the ID, and here the return type should be single product, and the method name we can say it's a fetch by ID, and for this we need to pass path variable which will take ID, and here we can pass this ID, and here we can call the respective method like get by ID and pass this ID. That's it. This is about the returning a particular product based on what ID we are passing. Now let us create one post mapping, and here for adding a product we do not need ID as an input, rather we need to pass as an request body, and this is the product ID we can remove. Now here we can name it like this is for create product, we can name it create. This is the product which we are going to create, and we need to call method like save product. On this, here we need to pass this new product which will get created. So this is about post mapping, which will allow us to create a new product into the H2 database. Similar way, we can write one method to update our product. To update the product, we need to add product body, as well as we need to pass the ID part as well. We can copy this and add it, and here we can call respective update method. For this we need to add request body, modified product object, as well as the ID part, and we need to add annotation. So this is about put mapping. Similar way, we can add one delete mapping so that we can delete the product from the database. Here for deleting the product from the database, we just require the ID to be passed, and this is the ID, and we can call the respective method on the product service, and the return type should be string because it is returning the delete message which we have prepared in our delete service. So this is the delete message will get shown on post successful deletion of the product from the H2 database. So with this we are done with our all the REST controller part, and we have added all the APIs which are needed to create the CRUD operations, CRUD functionalities. Now next thing, like, we need to test all these functionalities. So before we test, let us do one thing. We can add it here like cross origin, inside which we can set some max h. This is basically, it will how long our response will be cached to cached, that it mentions. Next thing, very important thing, like we need to add origins here, and we need to mention uh, our client URL, which is in our case http localhost 4200. We can save it. Now this origin, like what it will do, because this is our backend application, and it may block the request coming from the client application due to cross origin issue. To resolve that, we have added this, because we know that we are going to get request from our Angular application which has port 4200. Okay, so this origin, like even if you are creating the React application for the front end or the Angular application, we need to pass this so that it will work for all the client applications, irrespective of the uh, what technology we are using for the front end. So here you can place star as well, or particular origins you can add it. Now let us rebuild our application, because we have added a lot of code into that, and after that we will test our APIs using Postman. Now you can see our build is success. Now let us run our application using command Spring Boot app. So here for our application we are using 8083 as a port, and we can see our application is running on the same port. Now let us open the Postman, and for Postman, so this is the 8083 port, and this is the API which we have mentioned in our controller. Let us go to controller, and this is the API which we have mentioned, and the rest part of this URL, this is okay. Now let us do one thing. We can create one new, and here we can select the get HTTP post method. Here we can add this URL, and here is our uh, we can select raw, and here JSON, and we can send it and check. Now it is showing empty records, empty products, which is as expected, because we have not added any data into the database. Now if we go back to our application.properties file, here we have enabled the H2. So now we can go to console and watch our database. Now here, to do that, we can use H2 localhost 8083 and H2 console. We can hit. Here we need to mention our database. You can check what is the database. This is the product master, and user and password we need to add, so that we can connect to our product master database. Now we can see this is the interface for the H2 database. We have entered into the console part. Now here this is the product. So this is the product underscore master is the database, and this is the table which we have created, and this will create on the fly whenever we start our application. And this is the in-memory database. It will retain the data as long as our application is running. Once we stop our application, we will simply lose the data, because it's an in-memory database. Now we can see it has nothing, only columns it is showing. That means our get API is working fine, because there is no data. Let us add one entry using post mapping, and here this is the post mapping. Now let us copy one record, so we can add some entries. Using post mapping, let us check. So here ID is not needed. Fine. Now let us check how it works. Fine. So we have created our first entry is created. Similar way we can create two more 2 3 records. Now if you pass the id or if you do not pass, it will create by its own. You can see it is creating the id because we have mentioned auto increment. We can create 2 more records, and this is the last one. So we have created 4 records. Now if you go back and hit our get API, we can see we have these 4 records in place. Now if you go back to the database and rerun the query, we can see all these 4 records it is showing. Fine. So our get API is working fine, post API is working fine. Now let us see, we have one more get API which we should return the particular product based on what ID we are passing. Now let us hit it. Now we can see we have passed the 4th ID and it is showing the 4th record for us. Now next thing, like we can test our put mapping, and for put mapping we need to pass the object as well, and along with that we need to pass the ID as well. Now here we have passed this 4th ID and this is the object which is a modified object, we can say. Now let us add modify this. Now we can add something like, let's say this is the iPhone 15 and this is the smartphone and the brand is Apple. We can add it here. Let us check. Now we can see the record is updated successfully. That means our put mapping is working fine. Now we can see the record is updated by calling the get API, and we can cross check in database. Seems good. Now this is about put mapping. Similar way we can call the delete mapping and check if our delete is working fine. Now let us call our delete, and for deleting the object we just need to pass the ID, which is enough to delete the object. It should show the message like object is deleted, product is deleted successfully, which is as expected. Now if we go back and call the get method, and this is for 4th ID because 4th we have deleted. Now let us call get all method. Yes, we can see we have 3 records because 4th record we have deleted, which means it is delete is working fine. Now if you go back to our database, now once we refresh, this 4th record should not be shown. Yes, seems good. With this we have tested all our CRUD APIs. So what we have done so far, we have created our Spring Boot backend application, and we have created implemented CRUD APIs, and we have tested all those CRUD APIs using Postman. Fine. Now till now we are done with our backend coding part. Now let us focus on our front end application. Let us open one VS Code instance. So before we start, let me show you what all versions we are going to use. For first ng version, I will show it's Angular 18.2.3. Next, we can see what node version we are going to use. It's a v20.11.1. Next, like npm version, we can see it's a 10.5.0. These are all the latest versions with which we are going to create our standard Angular standalone application. So let us do that now. Let me close all here. Now this is we are inside product app folder. Now let us create our Angular application using command ng new, and we can create a product -web Angular application, and we can add routing part as well. Now here we, as by default we are using the Angular 18 version. So if we try to create by using ng new and application name, then it will create by default a standalone application. If you do not want to go for standalone, you can simply put this option like no standalone and create your application. But if you have not given this, that means by default it will create a standalone application with this command. and which is what we need to do. This is the routing we can add. That's it. Let us see. Now we can choose the CSS, and here server side rendering we can see no. We can say no. Fine. Now it is installing the packages. We will wait till it installs. Here we can see it has created our new project with name product-web. Now we can go to this project folder. Here we can run our application using command -o. Can type y. So let me create the existing VS Code instance which is running. Fine. And here add n. Would you like to use no? So let us rerun it. Yes, you can see our application is running fine. So let us, this is our project folder and this is the package.json. We can see no bootstrap is added. Now first thing we need to add the bootstrap. We can add one new terminal, and here we can install what all things we need. Like first we need to install bootstrap. We can use command npm install bootstrap. To complete the bootstrap installation, we need to add bootstrap javascript into our Angular JSON. We can go to here, we can see our build option, and here is the script array inside which we can add this entry. Similar way, we need to add one bootstrap CSS and file into this one, which is inside styles array. That's it. We can save it. With this, we are done with our bootstrap installation. Now let us install what all, let us generate the component which are required. Now first we can generate our module with name product, and we can add routing as well. So let us check if and okay, so here actually we need to first go to our product folder which is product web, and after that we need to install this bootstrap inside that, so that it will reflect into our package.json. Yes, we can see now bootstrap is showing. We are using this 5.3.3 version. Now let us to create our component using command like ng generate. First we can create one module with name product, and we can add a routing option. Fine. Next thing, like we can create one service inside. We can say here inside app we have this module created. Now we can go inside product and create one product service. Fine, we can see product service is created. Similar way we can create the component, and we are going to create inside product folder, and our first component name will be home, and we can add standalone option right here to generate the component. So we can see home component is created successfully. Similar way we can create one edit component, and we can create component. Now last thing, we can create one interface with inside product, and the name of the interface will be product itself. Fine. Now we can see what all things we have done it here. First we have created one module, so that it has created one product folder for us. Next we have created one service, a product service. Next we have created different component like create, edit and home, and for each component we have different one CSS file, one HTML file, one text file and one TS file. And this create will allow to create a new product. This edit will allow to create update the product, and on the home it will allow to on home we are going to show the table data, and again like on that we are going to show some action buttons for edit and delete. So all those functionality we are going to add on home. So this is about the components, and this is the edit interface inside which we can add what all properties we are going to use, like its ID, name which is a string, type which is again string, and we have brand which is again string. Fine. Now before we go ahead, first of all, our Spring Boot application is using port 8083, and our Angular application is running on port 4200. Now whenever we run our Angular application, it should point or redirect our request to our backend URL. Okay, so which is like this URL it should go to. So what we need to do for that, we need to create one proxy file. So we can create inside this src, we can name it like proxy.config.json, inside which we can add like /API, and here we can mention the target URL, so that it will redirect our request to, and this is our target URL which is http localhost, and here we can mention the port 8083. Next thing, we can add secure as a false. So this is the proxy configuration we need to set. Now if you are using something other than localhost as a host, then you can call on change, and here you can mention that other host which is not a local host. So for that this setting you can add. Now we can stick to our local host for now. So we have created our proxy config. Now next thing we need to go to angular.json file. Here we can see this architect and we need to go to serve this option, and here we need to add options inside which we can mention like proxy config option, and here we need to give path of our what proxy config file we have created. So this is the path, like we have created proxy config JSON file inside src folder, so which we have mentioned. We can save this and we can save both the files. Fine. With this we are done. Like our Angular application will redirect to our backend application. Now let us do one thing. Now here, as we can see, we have created our application using standalone. So you will not find the option like app.module.ts. Rather, it has created app.config.ts. So this is the main.ts, which will actually bootstrap our application, and here is our app config, wherein we will add all the configuration part. Now first of all we need to go to our app.html file, and here we can clear everything. From here we can write router outlet, it here, you can save it. Now so as we are going to use bootstrap and we need to create the navbar, so we need to search for bootstrap navbar. Now here we can click on this link, and for this is our design, like what you can choose any design which you like. Now here we are going to create one home link and one add button, so we can copy what all things we require from here, and here inside this app.html you can create one container div inside which we can add navbar, and before we show navbar we can add one line break and we can add one h3 header. Like if we go to, so now it is not showing, but the header we need to show. Now the header is like we can give full stack with Angular 18 standalone and Spring Boot 3. Fine. We can make it as a strong so that it will show bold. Inside this we can add some style part as well, like we can mention we can add one color. We can see it is appearing. Now for this container we can add some style and we can define some width, which is let's say 850 pixel, and we can save it. Fine. For this navbar we can use dark option, and here we can say pg info and we can save it. Now it is not showing the navbar, so let us go back to our application and restart rerun our application. Now it is showing the navbar. Seems good. Now inside this we can create one more div with name container CRUD. Inside this, now we can go to our here. We can copy the to create the home link. We can copy this option and edit it here, and we need this search here button, so that we can create one add button with this, and here we can add this and we can save it. Now you can see it has created home link as well as search button. Now this current span is not required. We can remove this and we can save it. And for this now link, we can say it's a now bar and it's primary. We can make it as a brand. Now it seems good. Next thing, like for this button, we can add btn primary and let us check. Yes, seems good. And here instead of search, we can give name as add plus. And for this we can add some style as well, like we can mention some width which is 100 pixel. Now it seems good. Fine. Now this is about app.html. Now we can start from our service product.service.ts and come back and show the table data. So here we can add HTTP client, and here we can use HTTP client. So inside this we can create first method like fetch all products, and here we can add observable and the return type product array. We need to add import for this one. Now here, so return this .http client, we can call get method on this, and inside this we need to pass the URL which is working for us, like this is the URL. Can copy and paste it. Now for this rest part, like starting from API and all, we can create one base URL and we can add this part into this one, and this URL we do not need to mention because that URL we have mentioned it here, so it will prepare. So we can remove this URL. Here we can add base URL only, which will get append to our the URL which we have mentioned in our proxy config. This URL, the base URL will get appended to this URL. Fine. So this is the base URL. This is returning. This is the get method which will return the product array. That's it, we can save it. Now this is about fetch all product. Now we can see we can create get by id method. Here is the id and this is the number. Can copy this and add it. Here it will return only a single object based on what id we are passing. Like we need to pass the id inside this. So this is for get by id. Similar way we can create one create method which will pass which will create the product data. We can say so product it will create, and we need to copy this, add it here. Now we need to call the post method at here because we are going to create a product, and here we don't need to pass the id, rather we need to add the product input product which will get created. So this is about create method. Similar way we can add one update method which will update the product. So here and here we need to call put mapping, and apart from this base URL, here we need to add id as well, and we can take id from product.id, and the actual modified object we can pass as well. So this is about update method. We can create one delete method as well. So this is the delete method, and we can call the delete http method, and to delete the object we just require the id which is of type number, and we can pass the id at here for deleting the product. We can save it. So with this we have added all the service methods which will allow us to call the http methods like get, update, post, and delete and put mapping. We can save it. Now let us go to our, now we want to show first we want to call this method, and this method will hit the database. This method will call our backend get all product method, and through that method it will return the data, and that data it will return through this method. Now we need to capture that data we need to show that data on our home component, and to show that data on our home component, first we need to capture the data in some variable. So let us prepare our home component. You can say implements on init. Inside this we can create one constructor, and here we need to use our product service, which is a product service. We need to provide the import for this one. Fine. Now here we can create one products variable which is of type product array, and we can initialize it with empty array. We need to provide the import for this one. Now we need to provide ng on init implementation. Here we can call this dot product service dot, we can call fetch all products method, to which we can subscribe, and here we have data fallback, and we can assign the return data to the products. as in data. Fine. So this is the return data we are going to assign to these products. Okay. So what basically it will do, it will call the fetch all products method on the service, and this fetch all method will call to our backend get all products, and the data will get returned from there. Now the data which we got from this method we can store into data and we can assign it to the products. That's it. Now here we have this ng on init method. Next thing, now we need to render data on our home.html. So before we do that, first of all we need to add the routing part. So let us do that. Here we need to add path. Let's say it's a product/home, and here we need to mention what component to render. It's a home component for this path. Similar way we can add one more path for products. So what it will do basically, if we have this path, then it will call the home component. If we have only product, it will again call it will render the home page. And if we have blank path, again it will render the home page for the blank URL as well. Okay, fine. So we have added this much. Now let us go back to our home.html file. It here home.html. Okay, now here we need to add render the data. So first we can do, here we can remove this file, and here we can create one container div inside which we require table, inside which we need head, thead need tr, and inside which we have td, and we can show it here like first is a product ID. We can add scope as a call. We can add 3 more columns. First is the name, next is the type, this is the brand. You can save it. Now we can add the class name for table, which is the table stripped, and we can save it. Now here after this t head, we can add t body as well, and it has tr and td part. Now for tr, here we are going to render our we need to iterate on like *ng for, here we can say let product of these products. So this is the list which we have mentioned in our home.component.ts. This is the product which we are going to render, and to render you can say it's a scope as a row, and here we are going to render inside this one using this brackets, and we can call prd dot, it is the id first. Now we can add one more td which will add prd dot name, we can add for type as well, and this is the brand. We can save it. Okay. Now here we can go to our app.config.ts. Here we need to add in this app.config.ts we need to add our product service, so that will get used. And inside this again, like apart from this, we need to add the actual provider which we are going to use, like it's provide HTTP client. We need to pass it here so that it will allow to use the HTTP client in the server service layer. Fine. Now it is showing the header. Now let us go to our app home.html. So here inside home.html we need to add one common module. Again we are going to use reactive form module. We are going to use form module. We are going to add product module, and apart from this again we are going to use router link. Fine, we can save this. So this much is needed. Now we can see once we save this, the data is getting shown for our that means our GET API is working fine and it has shown the data as expected on the UI. So these things are necessary because we are going for this ng for and nge for all those. We need to install this, add this common module. This is the reactive form module we need to use, product module which we have created, and router links to work our router links. Fine, we can go back to our home.html and here inside this tr for header part we can add a class name as a pg primary. You can save it. And for this table part we can add some style. We can add border 1 pixel. Now it seems good. Fine. Now for this container we can add some width which is like 850 pixels somewhere. Seems good. Now let us go to our UI and check how it looks. Okay, seems good now. Fine. Now next thing, like whenever we click on add button, it will open some it will open some form to let us add one product entry. So for that we can do like we can add let us check if we have added the create routing for that. So here we need to add one create component first so that our link will work. and this is the create, and this is create component. We need to add import for this one. You can save it. Now whenever we here we can go on home.html. No, here add button is on app.component.html here. So for this add button we need to add the router link. So let us add that. Now we can go to it here, app.components.ts, and inside this we need to add this is the router outlet only we have. Now we can add router link as well. So next we can add reactive form module. Next we can add form module, and we have the product module as well. So we can check if we can only add into the app.component.ts all these things, and that will get you. So we do not need to add it our home component, so we can check that later on, but right now we are adding in app.component.ts. Fine, so that our router will work. So here we have added this router link now, and this product.create we have created the router in our app.route.ts, which will call the create component. And for the create component in HTML we do not have anything, so we need to create one form, and to create the form we can go to bootstrap forms, and we can click on this form. Now we can select the design for form, any design which you like. Now let us take this first design. We can copy this form as is, and we can go to this HTML. Here we can remove this, we can add one container div. Inside this we can add this form, we can save it. Now we can click on this add button. Now we can see the form is appearing as expected. Now here we can modify it for our use. Now this is for name, this is name, and we can copy it. The type is a put text, and here we can, for id we can add name. This is the name, this is the name, and this small id, small, we can remove this. Fine, and we can save it. Now you can see name is appearing. Now similar way we can add two more divs. So one for type, now here one more thing, we can add name as an name attribute as well, and here we can add name which is of type. We can save it. So this is for type. We can see it is showing the two, one for name and next is the type. Similar way we can add one more for our brand. Can copy this, this is the brand. Fine, so you can save it. Now it is showing all these three. Now let us add Okay, so here let us add one br it here, and we can add one more button for cancel, and here we can give type as a button. Here we can add this as an for cancel, we can add rate, and it here fine. Now for this form we can add some CSS, like we can add MT4 margin top padding we can add, and we can add some style for the width, like width we can mention it's 830 pixel, and we can save it. Next thing we need to add height as well. Let's say height we can add 310 pixel, and we can add border as well, which is 1 pixel solid. You can save it. Seems good. Now here we can add border means background color as well, and we can choose this. So for background color, so instead of adding we can remove this from here. We can add it here like bg info. Seems good. Now we can see it seems good. So here we can give some space. Now it seems good. Fine. Now so we have created one form. On click of add, it will show some form. Now here whenever we enter something like this one, it should capture into the some variable, or in ng model it should get captured. So we can add ng model, and here we can mention. So first inside our create component we need to implement declare one variable. First we can say implement on init. Okay, so for this one we do not need to implement on init, rather we can create one variable, like let's say it's a product which is of type product, and it will contain id which is a 0, name which is a blank, and here type which is a blank, and brand which is a blank. Here we need to fix this. Fine, seems good. Now here this is the product, like so we need to capture into this product dot name for name. Now this ng model we need to add, so we need to go to it here, and inside import here we need to add form module, so that should work. Seems good. Now here this is for name. Here we can add for type. Here id should be type, and this is the type. Similar way we can add for brand. This is the brand. Okay, so whenever we enter something, it will get stored, means it will get stored into the product, which is this one. Now we need to create one method. Like we need to first create one constructor. Inside this we can add our service, which is a product service. We can add import for this one. Next thing, we can create one create method, and here we can call our product service. Dot create method we can call, and here we can pass this product, which need to be added to the database. What we have done, whatever text we enter for name, type and brand, that will get stored into this product. Now this product we are going to create into database, so we can call subscribe method here, and here we can use next, and this is the data, and for this data we are going to route. So we need to call inside this constructor, we need to add router, which is this router, and we need to add the import for this one. Fine. Now here we can call now router.navigate method, and here is our which is product/home. So what we are going to do, once we enter submit, it should show the home page. So for that we are navigating to the home component. Next thing, here we can add error. In case of error, like for that it should log the error. That's it, and we can save it. So this is about create method. Now once this is about create method, we can test. So apart from this, we can, once we cancel, click on cancel button, it should show the cancel page. It should go to home page as well. So we can add the routing part as well, the navigation part, same as this one. Seems good. Now we have added this to. Now let us check how it works. Now first of all, we can go to our home page. We can click on add. Now let us add some new entry. Let us take this LG18. We can, its type is a television, and this is the brand of LG, and we can submit. Okay, so let us check on the browser side. Let me so this submit button, we need to check whether we have given the router link for the submit button on the create.html. Okay, so we have not given any link, so we can provide some link, like this is the create method it should call, and similar way for cancel it should call cancel. We can save it. Now let us add the entry again. Now here this is the LG18. Yes, we can see one entry is added successfully with this. That means our post API is working fine, and we have added one product successfully to database as well. If we want to cross check into the database, we can go to the console and hit the query. we need to enter user 123, and if we, yes, we can see this LG is added successfully with this create method. Now here we need to go for update method. Now to update the method, first we need to add the uh, action buttons to our table. So let us go back to our home.html. Here we can add the action buttons. We can copy this, and here we can say it's for edit, it's for delete. Here we can add one more td button we can add, and here we can say it's edit, and for this button we can add class like btn primary, and we can save it. And similar way we can add one more button for delete, and here we can mention it's an danger, and we can save it. Seems good. Now it is reflecting as expected, which is fine. Now once we click on edit button, it should call the edit functionality. So for that, what we can do, for this edit button we can call the router link. For this we are going to call inside this one we can call slash product slash edit, and here we need to pass the id as well, which is PRD id. We can pass to this, and we can save it. Now we need to check if we have router link for this product edit. So we need to go back to this our router. Here we can add one more component which is for edit, and here we can mention the edit component. Instead of, we need to add import. You can save it. Now whenever we click on edit button, it should open the edit form. Okay, now we can say use the same form which we are using for create button, create form. Same we can use for edit. So this is the HTML of edit. Now this form will get added. Right now we can remove this part for on click, and we can save it. So this is for update. Now for this ng model, so inside here we need to implement on init, and here we can provide one constructor. We can add our private product service, which is a product service, and what all things we require. We require router, which is a router, and here we require again a route, which is activated route. That's it. We need to add import. Remains on init constructor private. and inside this we can use form module. We can save it. We have added product service, and for router we have added router and activated route. Fine. Here we need to complete this bracket. Seems good. Now here we can mention one product, so we can copy the product from here. This is the product, we can copy and edit it here. We need to add the import for this one. Fine. Now here we need to provide ng on init function, and here first of all we are going to call like this dot route dot param map. On this param map we are going to subscribe, and here we can mention the all params, and here we can create one id. For that we can call id, which is a type of number, and here we can call params dot get, and here we can pass the actual id. That's it. So it will return, it will extract the id from the request params, and that will get stored into this id. Now we need to call one method like get by. We need to create get by id method and pass this id, so that will be available for us. Now here we can create get by id method, and here we can pass this id, which is of type number, and here we can call our product service. We have get by id method. Here we need to pass the id, and we can call subscribe and callback, which is a data, and here we can say this dot product is equal to data. We can save it, sorry, this bracket. We can save it. Now with this, what it will do like whenever we click on this edit button, so first we can go to our home.html. It will call this route, and for this route we have mentioned the routing logic like go to edit component, so it will render this page for us. Now to show this ng model product dot name and all, we need to capture the product related data. For that we have declared this one. Now whenever we click on this edit button, it should our form will get populated with this row entry. For that we have written on inside ng on init method. We have first extracted this id. For this id we have get this id, and now we have set the data which is returned for the get id to the product. Now this product we are going to display on edit.html, wherein using this ng model. So let us check by clicking the edit button how it looks. Now let us go back to our inspect it. So nothing happens, like URL edit 5 cannot match any route. Okay, so we need to go back to our route it here. Okay, here we need to pass the id as well. Fine. Now let us check. Now we can see it is updated with the id as well. So for this brand we can once we, so here we need to provide the cancel functionality as well, so we can copy this and add same for edit as well. You can save it. Now actually on the edit.html, here we can add the on click, and we can call cancel. Seems good. Okay, now here edit.html for brand, this dash we need to remove. Fine, seems good. If we want to edit for this record and for this record, fine. Now it is the data is getting populated into our form. Now once we click we need to modify this data, and once we click on update button, it should update the record. For that we need to call here the update method, like here we can click on click, we are going to call update method. We need to define this method in our edit.ts file. Now here we can copy this method which is for create and go to edit.ts and paste it, and here we can modify it to update. Here we can call the update method, and for update method we need to pass the data which is of type product, and this data for the update method we need to pass the like okay, so here that is fine. Here this dot product, and here we can call next, navigate to home, and in case of error it will log this. So we have called update method. Now let us check what will happen as such. Now for edit.home.html update, okay, so here we need to pass the product. Basically this is not needed to pass the product, only we can save it. And for the update method, here we do not require to pass this because we have mentioned this product constant. We just need to pass this product, that's it, because whatever entry we modify in edit.html, it here inside this form input box, that will get stored into this product name, type and brand. So that will get available to us into this product, and that we can pass it here, and that's it, we can save it. Now let us check how it goes. Like first, now let us modify this entry with some new entry, like let us, we can take one new entry. It's a television, we can keep as is, and it's a brand of Samsung, we can add. Yes, we can see the record is successfully updated with what we have entered. That means our edit button is working as expected. Now let us try for delete method. Now for deleting the record, we need to go to our home.html, inside which we have this. Here we can call the click method, and we can call the delete method at here. Now we need to provide the delete implementation. For deleting the entry, this is the our home ts. Now here we can mention this is for delete. We are adding, this is the id number, and here we need to pass the id as well, which is like prd.id. We can call product service dot delete method, and here we can pass this id, and we can call the subscribe method, and here we can pass this data, and for this data we can call this dot products equal to, we can call this dot products dot filter. We can call the filter method, and here we can filter only those items like which id is not matching with this given id, so that it will simply remove this id input given id and retrieve all the records which are excluding this id. That means the record is deleted. Fine. So this is about delete method. Now once this is done, now here we can add one constant for a confirmation box, like is confirmed we can add, and here we can add window dot confirm, and here we can say are you sure you want to delete, and once the user enter on is confirmed, then we need to go for deletion part. Here inside this we can add the delete code, it here. Fine. And once it has deleted, like we need to call window dot location dot reload, so that we do not need to call the get method again to refresh the list. Fine. Now let us check our delete method. On home we have delete link as well, so delete API. Fine. Now let us go to our browser. Here if we click on delete, we can see the entry is deleted from the table. Fine, seems good. Now let us implement our search functionality. To implement the search functionality, first of all we need to go to our input search, which is it here, and here we have not added the input, so let us add that. After this navbar, not it here, we need to go to our home.html. So before the table start, we can add one input search for this one, and for this we can add to some width, and we can check how it looks. Seems good. Now here we can add one, we can add class which is like MT4 margin top, we can add. Seems good. And here we can add some placeholder for this one, like and search product here, and here once we click on this one, we need to add like once we enter something like on input, we need to call one method, like let us create one method, filter products, and here we need to, first of all we need to mention it here some filter like this one, and we need to pass this it here like filter dot value as is. Now we can copy this. First we need to save it and go to our home.ts. Here we need to call this function, and here we can pass the input, which is of type string, and here we can call this dot. Now here we need to show the filtered items, so what we can do, we can define one, we can say it's a filtered products, one constant which will show the filtered products. Now here we can say filter products is equal to, here we can mention like this dot, we can call products on this, and here we can call the filter method, and for this filter method, for each item we are going to filter with item dot name dot to lowercase dot includes, and we can pass this input dot to lowercase method and call fine. Now this is about, and we can save it. So this is about to filtering on basis of name. Similar way we can add for with, or here we can add for type, and we can add for brand as well, so that it will get sorted on basis of these columns. Fine. Now let us check how it works. Like here, if we enter something like, let's say it's a pixel, it is not working. So this is the filtered product, and this is the string lowercase. So let us check. This is the name dot lowercase includes, and for this we are going to use input dot to lowercase. Okay, fine. Now this is inside home.ts, we need to change it. Okay, fine. Now let us rebuild our application and check how it works. input class set here. Okay, so let us here we can go to our home.ts, and this is the function. And here this is the filter of products, and this dot products dot filter we have called on this. This is the atom dot name dot to lowercase includes input dot to lowercase, or it has type. We have completed this, and with this it should work. Hope so. Now let us check what will happen at here. Let us check by consoling whether it is entering into it here. Console.log. And save it. So on input it should call okay. So we need to go to home.html first. Here we can see name and id field we have added, as well as this is the filter we have added, and this is the input. For once we input here it should show. So let us go to home.component.ts, and what all things we have added. This is the common module, reactive form module, product module, and router link. Okay, so actually we need to show the filter the product set here whenever we iterate on. So here we can call the filter the product, because that is what we are going to show. And here again, like, we need to set for fetch all methods like this dot filter the products is equal to data we can set, so that whenever there is an empty list, at that time this filter the products will get set for this data, and this filter the products we are going to render it here. Now let us check what we have done. Like here, this is the filtered products. We have set the data to, because we want to show the filtered list. So here it will retrieve the filtered data into filtered list, and that filtered list we need to show on the HTML. So let us check now. Yes, we can see it is working fine. This is for smartphone and this is for Google. So it is working for all the data on the table, that in the table. So let us now work on the sorting functionality. Let us go to our HTML here, and we want to sort on column basis. So here we can mention like on click, and here we can mention sort by method. Here for sort by, we need to pass on which we need to sort by. Like first is ID. Similar way we can copy for rest of the columns. Like this is for name, this is for type, and this is for brand. This is name, this is type, this is brand, and we can save it. Now we need to create one sort by method. So we can create this sort by method inside this ts. This, okay, this is the sort by, and here we can say value, it's a string. Now here first of all we need to define some variables. Like here can mention sort by first. So this is the sort property, and by default it's a name sorting, and this is the sort order we have added. Now let us implement this sort by functionality here. First of all we are going to add sort order, and here we can mention this is the value is equal to, if it is this equal to this dot sort property. If sort property if it is not, if it is given, then we can call sort order, and here we can give some -1 as such, and here it's, or else we can sort on ascending order. So this is like, if there is a name sort property is existed, then we can go by calling the descending order, and if it is not existed, that means we are sorting on name, which is a default, and we can sort it in ascending by passing this one. Next thing, like we can mention this sort property, and we can pass this value, which is an input. Next we can add not filtered products, and here we can call this like this dot products. Here we can call the sort method on this, and here we can pass two variables, one for input A, next for input B, and this is the fallback. Here we can add let some result variable we can define, which is a we can assign it with 0, and here you can say if A of value is lesser than b of value, then we can assign some result is equal to 1, or else, or we can copy one more if, like if it is a lesser, a is lesser than b, then so here if a is less than b value, then it should be -1, or else it should be 1. Now finally we can return the result like result cross this sort order, and we can return this. Okay, now here we can check what sort order we have mentioned, and sort property, and here it's a sort property. You can copy this and edit it here, sort property. Now this is the filtered products, is equal to this, and we need to complete this it here. This is the result as a 0, and a dot value is less than b dot value, then result is equal to 1. And here we have not mentioned the result. Okay, result we have mentioned it here. Sorry, this value should be small string, and as well as it here it should be small string. We can save it. Now let us check this dot filtered up products. Now here filtered up products we can copy and same we can use. Fine, seems good. Now we have added this sort by function. Now let us check by calling this sort by. Now if you want to search on this product, this is for name sorting, this is for type, and this is for brand sorting. Fine. Here what we have done, like this is the sort order. We have set like if this is the name, if sort order is existed, go for descending order first, and if it is by default name, then go for ascending order. This is the sort property value, and this is the function, like we are sorting on basis of passing the a and b values, and this is the sort logic we need to perform, and finally we are going to return this sort. Okay, which will get stored into filtered object, filtered products, and that will get shown at here. So with this we are done with all the functionality which we have discussed before we start our video. So I will request you to please like and subscribe the same, and thank you so much for watching this. Hope you must have enjoyed it.